This segment is brought to you by JigMasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to JigMasters.com and use promo code PNF20 and save 20% off your next jig order today.
You're listening to The Reel Down, sponsored by Ketch Photo Release Tournaments. This is your premier tournament source. Here are your hosts, Sam Jones and Dan Perry.
All right, everybody, welcome back to The Reel Down. Tonight it's me and Sam, and we have two beautiful ladies on the show. We have Miss Susie Roloff, Adventures of Outdoor Woman, on the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're a whole network here. And we also have Erin Mathis, the Utah Anglerette. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just here to talk about y'all are both tournament directors. We'll talk about that, just kind of the state of the sport with coronavirus and trying to social distance and all these nice things. And just, what's going on in your life. So let's, Erin, you haven't been on the show before. Let's tell us all about yourself, how you got into kayak fishing, all that good stuff.
Well, I am 37, living in Utah. I am an engineer here in Utah, and that is my full-time job. My second full-time job is tournament director of Kayak Fishing Utah, which has been awesome. I got into kayak fishing probably about 2017, 2016. I just bought a little Lifetime Tamarack and was just going to go out and paddle around. I was like, I'm going to take my fishing pole, caught a bass, and was like, yeah, I need something better than this Tamarack. This is awesome, and bought a Hobie. One of my buddies said, go Hobie. One of my buddies was like, Hobie's the way to go. I didn't even look at anything else. I went to Shields and bought a Hobie, and I started fishing from it. Didn't even know kayak fishing was a sport. And somebody turned me on to Kayak Fishing Utah, which was owned by somebody else. And I got into the tournaments, and first year got Angler of the Year, and just found myself really enjoying it and getting pretty good at it, at least here in Utah. National championship kind of humbled me down a little bit, but ever since then
and 800 other people.
Right. Yeah. But ever since then it's been a great ride. I've had some really great ideas for how to run the tournaments, keep our anglers happy, and was, due to different circumstances, I was able to get the other tournament director out of his position, and me and a buddy kind of took over the club for the benefit of the club. We're now nonprofit, and it's all for the anglers at this point. So
that's great. And you and I think her name is what, Catherine Fields? Isn't that her name?
Catherine Fields.
Y'all,
dude, that's my girl.
Like daily, the stuff y'all put on Facebook and Instagram. It's like I've been to Utah, and I'm just every picture. I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful out there.
Yeah.
So jealous.
Yeah, Kate's she's the man, but she's the woman, man. She's out there every single day trying to do 250 days of fishing before her 50th birthday was within a year. She's almost there. So I'm proud of that woman so much.
And you two ladies had a meetup too, where you actually got to fish together, and you had a little bit of an experience that day too.
Oh man! So we went out to Wendover, Nevada, which is right on the border. Literally, there's the border, and then there's casinos, because we don't have casinos in Utah. But so if you drive in there, and then you go back about a mile back into Utah, there's a hot spring fed lake. So we went in January or February. So there's like still snow out, but the water's 70 degrees. It's awesome. Wow. It's beautiful. Nice. And they've got tilapia. I heard there's some piranha in there. People have dropped different crazy fish in this lake, because there's a lot of people do a lot of scuba diving in that lake. But we were out there fishing, and we were just off the dock, off the shore, and some guy comes up behind us and asks if he can do a ritual cleansing in the lake.
Is that pooping?
Stripped down to his birthday suit and jumped right in, and Kate got the whole thing on her GoPro.
Oh my goodness.
Not to strip down, but yeah, it was awesome. It was fun.
You hear the splash, and you guys are just like, yep.
Ritual cleansing. All right.
Yeah.
And are you also involved with a kayak bass bracket tour now?
So I ended up stepping down. There was a lot more to it that wasn't sold to me in the beginning, and that's not Greg's fault. He's doing some awesome stuff. I'm so excited to see this stuff going. But it was more than my time allows. I work a lot, not that everybody doesn't, but too much going on right now, and I just told him it was too much for me, but I would definitely promote for him for sure. So yeah.
I mean, we all have that line of life and fun, and it's,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So anybody else who's living under a rock and has never heard of the great and powerful Susie Roloff, tell us about yourself, ma'am.
Well, like you guys had said, I'm my own host of my own segment, Adventures with Outdoor Women podcast. I have been kayak fishing since roughly about 2014. I started in a little Pelican kayak, and my first kayak was a Hobie. Yeah, Hobie all the way. And I've loved them ever since. And I started competing in 2015 with Great Lakes Kayak Fishing Series, and got on staff with them right away, and then eventually got onto Kayak Bass League staff. And I basically jumped in the deep end head first when I got into all of this. So I was director for Great Lakes Kayak Fishing Series last year, and part of the staff with them too for a long time. And then this year I stepped down from Great Lakes. I needed a little bit of a break just because I'd been with them for so long, and was kind of, getting a little to the point of, all right, I've been in the director business of things for quite a while. I'd like to kind of step back and just kind of fish for fun for once. And with Kayak Bass League, I've been with them for a few years now, and I'm the main TD for them. So I've kind of just narrowed it down to one for this year. And that's kind of a little bit in a nutshell.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. There is a lot, yeah.
Just a just a little smatter.
I need to have a side conversation with you two ladies about how to say no, because you both have just talked about how you were able to, say no and like, hey, I don't have time for that. I do not have that skill set. I'm the yes guy. I need to work on that myself. So.
See, I usually say yes, and then my wife tells me no, and then I have to come back and say no. That's usually how it works with me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for me, it was just more of, I was kind of getting to the point to where, I was getting more and more involved with a lot of different things. So like the women's event, my local clubs and whatnot, and, traveling and everything. And then now my own podcast, I was just like, okay, my plate's really full right now. So I was like, I need to kind of take some off here, and I was just like, well, with Great Lakes, it was how I got started. It wasn't an easy decision by all means. But, I was just like, I'm ready to just, kind of take a step back. A lot of the original guys who were part of Great Lakes, had all kind of left too. So, it was just kind of time, for kind of some new changes and new takeovers, which was fine. Nick, who's running it right now, is doing an awesome job. So kudos for him. And, also just, letting other people kind of handle things too, so they can get the experience as well, because it's like, I like being the head person to kind of, make sure that things run well and, everything's in order, safety and all that other stuff. But, at the same time, it's just like, there's other people who can gain from the experience too. So, why not pass it off to somebody? So, just my 2 cents.
So Erin, I know out there where you're at, you haven't been fishing for that long because it gets so cold. Has your trail started already this year?
So our first tournament was supposed to be down at Sand Hollow this last Saturday, so the 25th, and that was also paired with a KBF trail event. And sadly, KBF canceled everything in May, but then everything in May through May, sorry. And our state parks were closed, completely closed here. And so they refunded me my camping money. It's a 5.5-hour drive for us, but it is 100% one of the best lakes in Utah. It's I think it was ranked number 14 on the West Coast at some point. some really great bass in there, some awesome bass fishing. And so KBF canceled theirs. We were still going to hold ours, and we were just kind of waiting to see what happened. And we were going to do everything virtual. We were going to do captain's meetings, just do the check-in on Tourney X, which is amazing. Dwayne Wally's been working his butt off on that thing, and I love it. And then we were going to just do everything virtual. It sucks because I think one of the best parts about a tournament is getting everybody together at the end and the camaraderie and you get to meet people who are just like you, or, maybe the opposite of you. And you get to learn a lot of things just by talking to them afterward, what they used. And it's totally a different experience, but we were ready just to do it. People just want to fish and they're ready. Yeah. And so they closed our state parks and we canceled it. And then they opened it a week before our tournament.
Man.
But I'll tell you what, I am so glad we decided not to do it, because they actually had to close the gates. People were hopping over fences. People are going insane right now. I mean, it's
trying to get out.
Yeah, and I don't blame them, but
yeah,
man, the line, I've watched a video of somebody doing the line going into San Holland. We're talking a 5-hour wait. It was absolutely insane. Wow.
I believe
and
it.
That's just because they only let a certain amount of people in, or
it's not. So the state park is actually pretty big. It's also includes a bunch of sand dunes, so a lot of people bring their ATVs and stuff out there. The lake, the reservoir itself is not that big, but yeah, there was just too many. Social distancing, I heard, was just not a thing. And for safety of people, they actually just had to close their gates and say, sorry, nobody else. Of course, our tournament would have started super early in the morning. Probably wouldn't have been an issue, but I cannot imagine how many wake boaters and jet skis are out on that lake. And honestly, I think I would have feared for our anglers' safety at that point. So I'm kind of relieved. It sucks for, our anglers. I know a couple guys went down there anyway, and it sounded pretty tough. The lake was already beat up. People were just dying to fish and wakeboard and everything else. So, our first tournament won't be until May 30th. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but we do month-long ones also. So.
We've had the opposite problem here in Indiana. All of our waters have been open the whole time. In fact, they were encouraging outdoor activity. But what happened is some of the pay lakes said, "Hey, we're not going to charge because we're going to have somebody there. So you guys are open to go." So some of these pay lakes that were generally pretty light on traffic and really great fisheries have been just packed. And then, of course, your other fisheries are also packed all the time, too.
Yeah.
So everyone's on the water, which is great. You want to see that. You want to see people out there and enjoying it. But it's definitely made for a new challenge. The last 3 times I've gone fishing, it's like I'm literally just fishing around behind people,
Sure.
And, that presents new challenges, but we're still catching fish and we're still having a good time and enjoying the outdoors. So that's what it's all about. But,
absolutely.
yeah, I can only imagine the lines that some of these states that are just reopening are going to have now. It's going to definitely be nuts. So,
yeah, that's what I'm kind of worried about this weekend, too, because May 1st, Illinois, they closed all of their state DNR parks as well. And May 1st, they're opening just a handful of lakes, which there really isn't any rhyme or reason to which ones they chose. But one of them I'm planning on going to this weekend, but I'm really worried about like what boat traffic is going to be and how many people are going to be there. I'm hoping that, all the other lakes are going to be kind of dispersed, but I don't know, with everybody being cooped up, I think everybody's going to be on the same page and be like, I'm going crazy. I don't care how far I have to drive to go fishing for some fish and whatnot. So, so it'll be interesting
be safe
to see.
Out there.
Yeah, exactly.
And kind of like you said, the whole thing, whether it's fishing or just life, businesses, it all seems so arbitrary, like the dates and the times of like what. I'm not trying to get into a political thing, but why, each state, the decisions happening, when they are, what's changed, that it's okay now? It's just, I think we're all going to look back at this, this podcast or this time and just be like, wow, what a crazy time to be alive and to be a part of this. And yeah, it'll be something that you said, oh, I lived through that,
It's going to be in history books. We were talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
My son's 3.5 and he'll be 20 and then be like, do you remember whenever this happened? Yeah. So, It's
we
great.
learned about the Black Plague and
Yeah.
the Spanish flu, stuff like that, and it's gonna be COVID-19 for our kids. It's definitely a strange time, and there, like you said, there doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason to it, and I don't know if anybody knows what the right thing or wrong thing to do at this point is, but it's great to see. Erin, you talked about it. Like, it stinks that we can't get out, right? Like, that is what this whole sport, this whole community is founded on, is going out and having a good time and having these interactions and these little campouts and fishing trips with your buddies and meeting new people on the water. And we can't really do that in the same way right now, but it's awesome to see tournament directors like you two finding ways to work around it and do some cool stuff. And you guys already are faced with enough challenges, let alone this. So kudos to you two and all the other TDs listening to this podcast.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
So your trail there in Utah for kayak fishing Utah, can you tell us about like how many people are in it, or how many people you usually get, how many stops you have? Just kind of give us an overview of the trail.
Yeah. So this year is weird. I've been talking to my other TD, the other co-owner of Kayak Fishing Utah, and if we have to cancel our second tournament, it's almost like we have to refund membership. So we do charge a $50 membership fee, and that covers AOI. We plan on sending out stickers and some other really cool things I don't want to talk about just yet. But I had to hold off on
Talk about
these
it. Tell us.
just some, just some cool swag. How about that? I don't want to, I don't want to promise anything yet, because I might have to refund memberships at that point. And I'm not here to make a dime. Every single last penny is going back to these anglers, whether it's in a giant dinner at the end of the season, or if it's just prizes, or if it's a kayak trailer and a kayak to go to the AOI, whatever it is that we decide. We're kind of still up and down. It's kind of goes back and forth, but
face mask, buffs,
yeah, right, yeah, tons of buffs. Jeez. But man, they're making a killing right now. But yeah.
Speaking of, Sam sells some Boss Buffs. Check him out. And he'll get some with the Kayak Fishing Utah, like right on.
There you go.
Sam, I'll stop.
Hashtag. Yeah. So we typically have six tournaments plus a state championship. And state championship is top 25% of AOI points. So you have to be a member. We also launched a juniors league this year, which I'm so sad that we haven't been able to see it, but it's $15 just for them to sign up. Dwayne Wally is sponsoring their tournaments. So the
cool.
tournaments are free for these kids. They're
DW.
Oh, dude, he's the man. They're not going to win money, but we've got some awesome sponsors and some really cool prizes. And my girl, Kate, sorry, I call her Kate Field. She gave a very substantial donation to those kids. And so they're going to be very well taken care of. If it's not, I know, right, awesome. Susie? That girl makes me want to cry. If it's, yeah, these kids are going to be probably more set up than I am. But yeah, so if it's not this season, it'll be next season. So we do, yeah, like I said, 6 trails. Now we're down to 5. I'm hoping we can sneak another one in there. It's going to be hard, people having to travel, take time off and stuff. I think we'll do it anyway because. But we'll get there.
Yeah, who knows how people have been affected and how they affect the trail, and
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, but y'all are both giving them people an outlet to get away from this, to have some time on the water and to take it out of their mind. So it's a good thing.
We have a few members that have lost their jobs because of this, and we're just trying to take care of our people at this point, whether we refund memberships and make sure that they're still fishing with us or whatever it is. I just exactly, this is an outlet. This is how we de-stress. This is how we maybe get away from that one thing in our lives that we can't handle anymore. And so I want to make sure that stays open to everybody. So
absolutely,
anybody from KFU that's listening, if you don't have a boat, if you can't afford something, hit me up, man. We'll make something happen. So
yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, going back to your youth thing, do you have any idea what kind of like participation? Obviously, you've had some interest in this. That's why you started it. Do you have any idea like what kind of participation you're expecting from that?
Probably roughly 15 to 20 kids.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
we were probably our first year as KFU. I was fishing against 20 to 25, maybe 30 people at the most. We've grown to about 50 people, or I should say 30 to 50 people every tournament, which has been great. And a lot of them have kids. And so this is a great way to get their kids out there. I know KBF has a new rule where your boats can't touch. Well, we're going to eliminate that, especially if they have their kids on the water with them, because we want to make sure that, everybody's safe. Everybody's getting their fish pictures taken and everything. So we're hoping 15 to 20 kids. And like I said, we've got some cool swag, a lot of sponsors anteed up before all this happened. And so we've got some cool stuff waiting for those kids.
That's awesome. Love it. Love it.
And Susie, what's going on with your trail, KBL?
So with KBL, things have been kind of interesting. So we had, let's see here, 5 events scheduled, and then we have our championship. So we had to cancel our first event. That would have been on the 25th. But luckily, in the planning stages, I had suggested that we do backup events. So we would schedule 2 events kind of like later in the season if we have to cancel because of weather, which we actually had to do last year. And last year we just resorted to makeups done via online, and there was a lot of dispute about, the fairness of that and all this and all that. So we're like, what, let's just take the onlines out because, it was a big complaint, which, is what it is. And we're like, we'll just set aside 2 dates and 2 different locations for backup events, which are actually going to work in our favor greatly because of everything that's going on. So our first event got canceled. So we're going to have to use our backup number 1. And then event number 2 is coming up on the 17th of May. So the lake that's scheduled is not going to be opening the first part of May, but we don't know what the state is going to be doing as far as their like phased reopening. They haven't said, all right, phase 1 is this date to this date, phase 2 is this date to this date, and these lakes are included. We don't know what's going to happen with that. So, we could just say, all right, event number 2 is canceled. I mean, we can't go there anyway because the gates are closed. So we might just do, our backup number 2, which is until August. So that's also in our favor. But the kind of question is with our third event, which would be at the end of May, if that's going to be canceled, then we kind of got to start to be creative. So we haven't made anything official yet. So if any KBL members are listening or watching, this isn't official. But, what we're thinking about doing is trying to do some online opportunities. I know in the past there were some frustrations about the online, but, we're trying to figure out a way to structure it to where we either have everybody on the same lake or within a certain mile radius or something like that. So we're trying to work out something that'll work in the best interest of everybody and that's still safe and following all the rules and regulations with social distance and everything. So we're definitely having to use our creative juices at the time. So
yeah, because one of the things too that I've been thinking about a lot, and kudos to the team at Indiana Kayak Anglers because they addressed this in their first event, is as these states start to open up things, or in these states where things are open, the kayak community has a big spotlight on it right now. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to make sure that we're acting responsibly because
yes.
The people in higher positions see us out there and us competing, or anyone in the outdoor community, right? And these lakes open up and everybody floods them and nobody's following the social distancing. And then it's like, okay, well, we can't trust that people will do things responsibly, so we're going to have to shut them back down or cancel this or cancel that. So it's definitely important that as we do start to transition back into these live events, that we keep those things in mind and try and be, cautious of how we represent the kayak community. So.
Yeah, exactly. And, the other part of it is safety. I mean, in the state of Illinois, with the very limited amount of public waters that are going to be open, if we allow anglers to fish at certain ones, that could be kind of putting them at risk too, because again, there could be lots of other boats flooding out there, and, boaters aren't always paying attention to where they're going. We found that out at, Newton last year.
Crossroads.
Yeah, at the Crossroads event. So, we definitely don't want anything like that happening again. So a lot of different things to take into consideration. I mean, as tournament directors, we try to really critically think about all the options that are available. We have 50 members. So we have to find, if we are going to choose one lake, it's got to be able to accommodate 50 people. Whether or not, all 50 sign up, that is one thing. But, we like to try to accommodate what we can. So, we got to have the proper space, the proper permits and everything. There's a lot more done behind the scenes than I think some people realize and take for granted a lot.
Absolutely. And then that's part of the reason why we do this show, and we like to have tournament directors on, is because, we want to get those stories out there. We want people to know what goes behind all of this, the processes, the thoughts, that you guys are putting into all of these different details. We just, as anglers, PayPal on Tourney X, sign up and show up at the lake and think everything is just going to run smoothly because that's just the way it is. When in reality, you guys are putting in the work, all the time. So
and
not
it's
just on tournament day.
Yeah, and it's like Erin said, we don't make a dime off of this. Tournament directors aren't getting paid for this. This is all volunteer. This is all coming out of our own time.
Some of them are taking some money. Not us.
There might be some clubs out there that do, but the two clubs that I had been a part with, nobody took a dime. Nobody made money. It all went back to the anglers. I mean, of course, you've also got your other fees. So, you've
website
fees, you've got your PayPal fees, you've got permit fee. There's a lot of different fees. So
I like to fish, so I pay a judge in another state to judge our fish because I don't want there to be there's nothing that anybody can say, oh, she's cheating, right? I mean, we just got to eliminate that. So.
Yeah, I helped with Michigan Kayak Trails Topwater Series last year. I would judge their Tuesday night tournaments. So yeah, just to kind of be that neutral party. I'm not in the state. I'm hundreds of miles away. I don't really know these people personally, so I can't really have like a favoritism or anything like that. And having years of experience judging, I was like, well, heck yeah, I'll help you guys judge. I love it.
Well, very cool. And if there's something that you could say to other tournament directors, since y'all been doing this for a while, and so if there's somebody just getting into it or a new tournament director or somebody who sucks at it, do you have any advice that you could give to them?
Go ahead, Susie, you're up. I could see it in your face.
It's like, I'm ready.
Right. So when you're going to make a judgment call, be consistent, be considerate, and be compliant. 3 C's basically, if you want to call it. So consistency. So, you're judging fish the same way all across the board, whether hands over the eye or if the identifier has part of it missing, even if like you can almost barely read that last number, you got to make that decision. You can't just be like, well, I'll just let it slide. Hundreds of people are online Tourney X looking at your every move. So always, always, always remember that. So, if you got to make a call and you're kind of like iffy about it, just do it. Be about the consistency and the fairness, and what I like to do too is if there's like an online tournament that's like, a month long or something like that, and I see somebody just uploaded a photo and like their identifier is glared out, I'll shoot them a message and be like, hey man, I can't read your identifier. You got a different one. I'll actually reach out to people and try to be like, hey, you know, do you have a different picture? You know, do you have something else that might work? You know, try to give them that option to, you know, make a change. Because I've been in the same situation as a competitor myself. I get excited. I get in the moment. I'm like, oh my God, gotta take a picture. And then like, I don't even think. And then I'm looking back and I've let the fish go. And I'm like, oh, you know, so, but, you know, as a judge, you know, you got to be consistent.
Yeah.
There you go. Erin?
I would 100% agree with Susie. That's probably my number one rule. We have some older members in our club that are, they have some wonderful abilities. You know, I don't want to call it disabilities, but yeah, I'm just saying, like, you know, some of them have to go out on walkers to get into their kayak, and they're beautiful people and they have a hard time catching fish, and sometimes they don't take the best pictures. And I every time I DQ their fish, I make sure I explain and tell them a better way to do it next time. Yeah. That is 100% it. And we have a lot new members this year. We do the month long. We do a trout versus bass because Utah is like trout land. So I try to talk to them about the mouth opening. I give them pointers. I'll message them and say, hey, I took a 1-inch deduction, but this is why, A, B, and C. Next time, try this, this, and this. And you know what? They don't get pissed off. They say, thank you for the advice. I'm going to try that next time. And then sometimes they'll send me a picture and be like, hey, is this better? And I'm like, yeah, it's, you know, that's great. You know? And, so that's definitely number one. Don't make exceptions for anybody. Just like Susie said, hundreds of people go to Kayak Bass Nation if you're if you want to see the crap show, go there and see how people are looking at stuff. This is real money that people are winning. This is people's. Yes. Some of this is their livelihood. Some of them, this is, especially right now, this is their only job. And, you know, we have to give that to them. We have to give them that consistency and the fairness. Doesn't matter who you are, how old, how young, you have to give them that fairness. The only other thing I would say is now that I run, I hate Facebook, now that I run a Facebook group, I have had the greatest group of people on my Facebook. And recently, because of the virus, there has been a lot of political talk on my group, and I have had to shut it down every single time. I haven't kicked anybody out yet, but I've sent some very big nasty grams. You know? Well, it's just basically saying, hey, this is, you know, you've got kids here reading this stuff, watch the F-bombs, keep your political stuff to yourself, go PM each other. I don't care what you battle it with you in their PM. Keep it off my page. Let's talk kayak fishing. Let's be a family. Let's be a group. Let's all get through this together and share our experiences instead of battling each other over who's right and who's wrong and who loves Trump and who doesn't. So, you know.
Yeah, that's a great point, Erin. And, you know, I think a lot of the folks that listen to this particular segment are tournament anglers. And so you talking about that makes me want to touch on something real quick. So
touch it.
I'm going to touch it. So, but as tournament anglers, a big part of it is having sponsorships and partnerships and pro staff, whatever you want to call it, right? So when you represent a brand, right, you're the face of that brand. You are representing them. Your values are their values, or at least they should be. And so one thing that I want to kind of touch on for people listening right now that you may not be thinking about. Yes, you're entitled to your own beliefs, your opinions, and whether a company agrees or disagrees with the things that you are posting, you probably want to avoid it as much as possible because, you know, if you're posting something that's pro or anti anything, you know, people often, I get this message all the time because, like, look, I run pro staffs and I run social media marketing for companies, and I get messages all the time. Did you know that so-and-so posted this? Does your brand really want to represent someone who represents this kind of thing, yada yada. It, like, all the time. It happens all the time. And I don't think people think about it, you know. It's my Facebook page. I can post. Yes, you can.
Sure.
But keep in mind that you're representing a brand, and that brand may not want to be associated with that sort of stuff.
And yeah, you're not just being watched by that brand, but you're being watched by everybody else.
Everyone is, someone is always watching. Someone is always watching.
Yep.
At the ramp, on the water, on social media.
Yep.
It's just like the judging the fish thing that we were talking about. So if you can resist the urge to share those, you know, a funny meme here and there is one thing. But the constant, I mean, I just go through and I look at applications for pro staff, and I go through and look at my pro staff's social media account, and it's like one fishing post, 30 things about COVID. One fishing post, 30 things about Democrats. One fishing post, 30 things about Trump.
God.
And it's like, is that really what you want to?
Sure.
We're
Yeah.
passionate right now, you know?
Right,
It's
like-
not really looking like it's at fishing right now.
There's no better time in history to gain an audience than right now.
Oh my
And-
gosh.
Don't waste it with social media. All right.
Yep.
Or with the COVID stuff and politics. Do something that is going to benefit the community and the sport and help you grow your following. All right, I'm going to get off my high horse. Back to you guys. That's it. That's all I got. See you guys later. Have a good night.
Well, here's a question with the whole COVID thing. Like, it seems like kayak fishing was on this just straight up trajectory of growth and things getting better and more money coming into the sport. Except for the companies that have been hurt by this. How do y'all think this is going to affect us long term? I think that's not really a question we've asked anybody on the show.
Can I take this one, Susie?
Yeah,
Go
please.
for
All
it.
right. So from what I've witnessed, my club has grown hundreds of members within the last couple weeks. That is insane for me. I don't know, maybe because I'm making more posts on other Utah Angler Report Facebook pages or what, but I noticed that a lot more people are getting outdoors. And I think that that's huge. And whether they're just shore fishing, or maybe they're getting on a boat, or maybe they just desire a kayak or something, I am getting like multiple member requests a day. And I think that actually long term, people are getting this stimulus check and, you know, possibly spending it maybe where they shouldn't, but it doesn't matter. But I think long term, it'll actually probably, I don't want to say help our sport, but I don't think that we're going to be hugely dented, honestly. That honestly depends on how long this lasts, though. I mean, lucky for us, we're on a platform where we could do this all virtually. Like, we literally have, like, there's no better sport to be in right now than kayak fishing, because it can be all virtual. You can't do that with football. You can't do that with baseball or anything else. We can literally not talk to a single other person within, we'll say, 10 to 20 feet and still have, you know, award ceremony, a captain's meeting, prizes. Everything can be done virtual. And honestly, I feel like you don't have to have a live weigh-in. I mean, really, is there any better sport that we could be in right now than this one?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
I think it definitely hurts some of these smaller mom and pop places. I know Headwater Kayaks out in California, I think, started hurting a little bit. They're huge. And I used to be on their fishing team up in Idaho River Sports. I definitely know that they're hurting because people just aren't making that type of money right now. But overall, people are finding a new passion outdoors, and I hope that it's kayak fishing. And I think that it's starting to at least I'm seeing a lot more members for sure.
And maybe just overall in the outdoors, it'll be this great kind of the started national parks and what Roosevelt back in the day. Maybe it'll be this big, you know, rebirth of people being outdoors in Utah. What a great place for that, you know.
Right.
Yeah, there's so many positive things that are going to come out of this, you know, and it's so easy to focus on all those negatives. But when you don't have malls and you don't have the movie theaters and you don't have these places to go play video games and, you know, you can't go bowling and you can't go hang out at the bar, you know, all these things that, you know, you typically would do on the weekend, you know, what's left? You reconnect with your family, reconnect with the outdoors.
Yep.
And hopefully, you know, people will continue to do that even after things open back up. Obviously, there's going to be that initial rush to go back to the old way. But I think people will also say, like, man, I really enjoyed, you know, going to the park and going on those hikes and continue to do those things. It's nuts. The little ponds around here, you go and there's just cars lined up and the banks
they're
are
fished
full,
out.
you know,
Yeah.
of families out there. And I can't tell you how many times on the small pond that I fish, I've heard, you know, a kid catch its first fish, and it's been so awesome. I've gotten to take a picture of a couple kids out there just doing it, and I'm like, can I just take a picture? It'd be so cool, you know. And it's like 3 times in one day I heard, you know, this kid catch their first fish, and it was amazing, and I love that. So I hope it continues.
Susie, what do you think?
Yeah, you know, I agree with Erin that, you know, this sport has incredible opportunity for the whole, you know, virtualness of it. You know, we can do, and, you know, look at what Five Live has been doing, you know,
Yeah.
with, you know, the 5 anglers. I mean, that's an awesome platform. It gives people entertainment that are stuck at home and people the option to fish and compete still, in a sense, you know? So, I mean, why not roll with it as we can, you know? And you know, I think we are going to see influx of people, you know, getting into this sport because, you know, there's people who are jobless and bored right now. So again, you know, what other things are they going to do? They're going to get tired of being on social media. They're going to be tired of sitting at home playing their video games or whatever. They're like, I'm going to get outside because the weather's actually getting nice now that we're, you know, kind of coming into later spring. And, you know, what better way to, you know, get outside and, you know, feel great and reconnect with nature, you know? And people, I agree, you know, I really hope people rediscover, you know, the outdoors in a much more meaningful way and realize, you know, in a way, you know, I think the world is being woken up to, like, you know, the realness of the world. You know, we've all had, you know, our daily lives and everything, go, this, work. And now it's just like, okay, let's stop. What's really real and what's really out there is like the outdoors. It's always been there, you know? So, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah. And yeah, businesses, yeah, it might be interesting with, you know, maybe sponsors and stuff like that, if they can, you know, give as much merchandise or give as much money. You know, it's just going to kind of depend on how long things last, how big or small they might be or whatever. With KBL, one of our sponsors, Jay Diz in Monticello, was starting to hurt because, you know, he's just a very small business. But luckily, you know, with everything opening back up in May, he's going to be able to open back up and hopefully get some more business going for him again. So.
Yeah,
Great.
But, yeah.
That's good to hear. JD's a good guy. All right. So I have a question. How do you two feel the kayak community has received you as leaders in our sport and in our industry, as female leaders in our sport and industry? Because, you know, some spaces it's usually not received too well. So what do you guys feel?
Susie, I know you've had a harder time than I have. I'm going to let you go take the lead on this one. We can end with a happier story.
When I first got started into everything, I wasn't exactly like a director per se. I was just kind of more of a kind of helping along, you know, seeing how everything works, then finally kind of giving, you know, kind of my 2 cents, helping out with everything. And then, you know, finally becoming, you know, a judge and everything. It's, you know, it's not that I don't think I've been received in like bad ways or anything, but until I was actually, I guess, known more about, you know, people are like, oh, okay, you know, she does know what she's doing. She knows how to judge stuff, you know, you know, and now even more so, I know a lot of people know about me, and I know that there's, you know, a lot more respect, and people are like, oh yeah, of course, totally, you know, she knows what she's doing. Type of thing. So, you know, I haven't really so much had like negative experience being like a director. innocence from our members. There's definitely been, how do I put this, challenging opinions with other directors on certain things and whatnot. But, that's kind of how it goes with everything. People are going to disagree about, things, views, etc. type of thing. You just got to try to come to a compromise. But, today, I mean, like, again, last year, the Michigan Kayak Trail Topwater Series, they asked me to help judge. I was like, yeah, of course, duh. It should be a no-brainer. I love doing it. So, it's great to be seen as that resource. I'm humbled by it, and I love it every opportunity I can get now. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Erin, what about you? How's it been for you as a female leader in this space?
It's been great for me, honestly. I think I got lucky as far as I started off as an angler, completely ignorant to the sport, and did really well my first season. And as far as Utah goes, I earned my respect, I suppose, getting Angler of the Year, and the guys were always coming to me looking for advice, and we grew as a family. Utah bass fishing is not a huge thing. Our bass, and this will give you an idea. In 3 years, the biggest bass recorded in a tournament is 21 inches. So it's really not that big. I mean, you've got 25 inches here, and
it's like Ohio,
California. I think my average fish on Tourney X is 13 inches. I mean, we just have small fish here, and
is it an 8-inch minimum?
We have an 8-inch minimum in Utah. Yeah. Not with KBF. KBF is still 12 for Utah, but for our tournaments it's 8 and above. But yeah, I mean, it's just so we can get some fish on the board. I've plenty of tournaments I've turned in 4 8-inch fish and a 10-inch fish. It's just our fisheries are not well kept for bass as much as they are trout. We have kokanee salmon here, which are invasive but awesome, and then we've got a bunch of tiger muskie in some of our lakes as well, which are awesome as well.
And your growing season is so short as well.
Yes,
there.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, our first tournament's late April, and then we have to stop by October, basically, is where we're at. And October is our state championship, and we're going 5 hours south to the desert, so that way we can actually fish it. So but no, it's actually been great. Last year I had recently gotten a divorce and said I'm going to
Sorry.
No, it's woohoo. Finally bought the travel trailer I wanted, got me a dog. I said I'm gonna do everything I want for the next year within reason, and I needed to heal, and so I traveled to California to all the KBF events that I could. I think I went to California 4 or 5 times. It was a 12-hour drive there in one way.
Such a great community out there, kayak community out there. It's unbelievable.
Not that I don't love the South, but Northern Cal, oh man, Adam Bombach, his wife Holly, I know, right? James Snyder is an amazing TD out there. All of them took me in with open arms, and like I'd be walking, I kind of just like I'd get drunk and walk around the campground at night just to like meet people. And people were like, oh, you're that chick from Utah, and it was like awesome. They treated me like family. They fed me every time. They made sure, and people would give me tips. They'd, be like, hey, go out this ramp, like, use this. The California crew changed my life as far as kayak fishing goes. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't for them, I mean, I had to keep going back. Sometimes it would literally be like, I'd get off work on a Friday, I'd drive all night to fish Saturday morning. And then I would drive Sunday to come home so I could be at work on Monday. And I loved every second of it. Like I didn't regret any of it. It was exhausting. I'm too old for that shit now.
It's funny you talk about the camping side of things. Like, so here in the Midwest and in the South, we go to events and you have like little groups that get together, like 5-6 people. They get houses, they camp. In California, it's like everybody in the tournament, one campground, one space, hanging out, everybody's shotgunning beers. Like they have the greatest community out there. I've got a lot of friends in California, and in Arizona in the fishing space. And I so badly want to drive out there for just one of it to hang out and have a good time with all of them, because they know how to party. So
they are awesome. We stayed up till like 1 a.m. one night playing giant Jenga, and I mean, completely trashed, but that's besides the point. I woke up 30 minutes after start time. Went out there. I have to tell you this. I had won a tournament here in Utah with 65 inches. I mean, right? And it was at New Melones. Woke up 30 minutes late, got 83 inches. I placed 86th place.
Wow.
Wow.
That just tells you the caliber of fish. But still, I went out there and got 86 inches of fish. I don't know.
You were like, I'm the queen of the world.
Right?
I was like, dude, I'm gonna kill this thing. And I'm like, oh man, I'm just bumping further and further down. Holy crap. But
there's 3 10-pounders on the board,
Like, I love my 12-inch fish. This is awesome. But no, California seriously changed my life. They basically made me want to go to the national championship for KBF, which is where I met the gorgeous Miss Susie there, and she had the most amazing day one. That was like my favorite moment, was meeting her, and she had gotten like, God, what were you, 70th or something?
I was like 60 something or something like that after day one. And like, cause I had figured it out, and like I literally like fished as hard as I could up until the last minute, because like I was trying to get that 5th fish, and then I finally got it, and I had like 2 minutes to spare, so I was like,
man, that was another moment for me. It's these small moments where you meet that one person that has that moment where she just she knew she did well. She felt so proud of herself. It's that moment where I meet these people in California who've never met me before, and they take me in as their family. And kayak fishing Utah, honestly, is just a huge family. There's a couple people here and there who want to try to muscle their way and say, you should run it this way, you should run it that way. But I stand my ground, I stand by my rules, and I stand by my morals here, and that's all there is to it. I feel like I've had a very warm welcome, and I'm really grateful for the kayak community. It's definitely changed my life for the better. So
that's awesome. Awesome.
I think a lot of times I'm a dude. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm usually insensitive. I don't know what life is tough for me. But like I've listened to enough podcasts and enough shows with female anglers, and it's like there's a whole other level of things y'all have to deal with that I don't. That you have to, I've heard discussions of what women are wearing and what you can and can't wear, and I'm sure there's not like a consistent thought on everything, because people do everything different. Me as a dude in the sport, what do most dudes miss, or what's maybe something that I'm just completely ignorant of that maybe I should be doing, or should think, or should say that what's something some guys are doing out there and they just don't get it with female anglers? Please help me. Help me to be more sensitive.
Stop being so sensitive.
I just, I understand. I'm 41. I'm getting older. I'm kind of set in my ways, but I want to be receptive and try to be open to what other people are saying. And most of the time, I just don't judge, because, again, I just don't have that level of things that I have to worry about. So I'm like, well, if y'all have to worry about that, I'm not going to judge you, because I'm not even in that. How can I judge you whenever I don't even know? So is there something that most guys are missing?
Well, I don't know if it's so much like missing. So from my point of view of things, and
Hopefully that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
Mhm.
So my whole thing with, when it comes to fishing with, guys and everything, I've obviously never had a problem with it and everything.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of times where it's been, kind of almost awkward in a sense, because I'm like, well, should I act differently because I'm the only lady? Are the guys acting differently around me because I'm a lady? It's just like kind of like at first it was just kind of like that awkward, like, all right, whatever type of thing, but like the clubs and stuff, as I've gotten to know people and they've gotten to know me, we're like, oh yeah, we're cool and everything and whatnot, but like the one thing that, I still struggle with the most, and that, I mean, sometimes it bothers me, but then other times I'm just like, well, it's just one of those things. It's just that, having the opportunities to, like stay with people, travel with people, that kind of thing. I mean, a lot of people kind of forget about us sometimes because, we're women and, who's, going to invite the lady to stay with a group of guys,
Their wife isn't going to like it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, I wish I could just like speak to the wives. And if you are listening, like, I don't want nothing to do with your dude. I am married to an awesome man right now. Like, I just want to go fishing and I want to learn from these guys and talk with these guys.
And save a little on my hotel room.
Exactly.
And see, I wouldn't even thought about that. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Right. Yeah.
Susie, we can bunk anytime. It's cool. It's cool.
Right.
Yeah,
because, last year, I would say 90% of my travels and my stays were solo, all by myself, it could have been part of my fault too. I never really thought to like reach out and ask. But again, it's kind of like dancing that fine line of like, is that going to make people feel awkward that I'm asking them that or whatever, So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to go solo because that's what I'm used to doing. It hasn't really bothered me too much. But I feel like a lot of times I really miss out on some of that camaraderie and, those campfire talks and, the drunken nights, whatever it may be, a type of thing. But, I finally have been becoming a little bit more part of, these groups and stuff like that. Like KBL, we stayed at a castle last year for a championship. Oh my God, it was amazing. We stayed at an actual castle. So it was awesome. It was awesome.
The pictures were neat.
I need to go back and look at those. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I had a few pictures. I didn't take a whole lot, but I know I was tagged in a few of them. But this guy who lived, where was this? This is out in the middle of nowhere. There was like really bad cell service, but it was out near Otter Lake in Illinois. And this guy had just built this big castle-like house. I mean, it had like 20 rooms. It had like 3 levels to it. I mean, it was redonkulous, and me and God, how many of us stayed there? Like 16, 17 or something like that. Yeah, there was a bunch of us. So we had a really, really good time. So
they serve like tiny burgers.
We cooked out.
White
We
Castle.
grilled out. We made burgers and dogs and stuff like that too. So I mean, it was great, And like I've roomed with a couple of guys before too. They're like, hey, you want to split a hotel? I'm like, sure, yeah, and it's it's not a big deal. I don't care, I mean, I'm professional, I'm not going to be in your DMs or anything like that, like, come on, and
That's the line.
and some other parts of it too to me, and this is just me being really self-conscious too, just being a bigger gal too sometimes makes me wonder about it, because I mean, I know it's how society is and everything, but come on, I'm Susie. Like, come on,
Girl,
I'm not gonna bite.
Right?
I'm a voluptuous man.
Right? It's just like I just want to fish. I just want to talk fishing stuff. I just want to hang out. Like, I'm just the same as all you other guys. Like, come on.
Yeah. Now I love what you two are doing, and I love that you guys you're not shying away from the roles that you're in and being vocal and being out there. I mean, I have a daughter who loves fishing, and I want her to walk into a sport that is going to embrace her and that she is going to be looked at just like everyone else. one big thing that I see that is always concerning for me is if there's a dude that does something that's stupid, everyone calls that dude, and that's really it. But when a girl does something, it's like the entire female body of the sport or industry is under fire now. Yeah. It's like they're all looked at the same way, right? Yep. So, we've had certain instances in our sport, which we won't go into detail on, but it seems like it's impacted or changed the way people view just the entire female body in this sport, and I hate to see that. So that's kind of like a unique challenge that I see for women in the sport is having to combat what some other person does. Guy or gal, people do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And, kind of going along with what, Christine Fisher has kind of advocated for too is, also like on an other side of that is being a female in this industry. Sometimes we come upon opportunities that could seem as they're being given to us,
Yeah. We need a female on our team. Cool. Right. Did you even know that I fish?
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's that.
I only catch 13 inchers in Utah. Why are you?
And I've heard her say that before, where it's easier to get in, it's tougher to go up.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with
female.
That too. Yeah.
Yep. And the other part of it is too is just like if you do work your way towards something and you are presented with an opportunity that you earned, but it might mean that opportunity is taken away from a male angler, so like what kind of feelings does that leave? It's just like, yes, I've worked hard to get to this, and they're going to take it away from this guy because maybe he's just not posting as much or he's not as active, I mean, he could be a top-notch guy and everything, but like at the same time, it's just like, ugh,
Yeah.
Erin? What am I missing? Tell me something.
No, I agree with Susie as far as the traveling thing goes. That's I literally bought like it's a 2,000-pound hard side folding.
I saw that. I'm jealous of that.
I want one.
I know.
A-frame trailer. I bought it when I was single, and now I'm with an amazing guy, and he's got 2 kids. We have 2 kids now. And now I need something bigger. But no, this thing was great for me and my dog traveling. My kayak, it folds flat, and my kayak loads on top of it. Sometimes it takes me 2 hours to get it up there, but I get it up there. And now it's been great. That's kind of been my saving grace, especially with the way that California does their tournaments. And then, God, it's getting super dark here. Sorry. I'll get closer. And then, so the way California does their tournaments, and then, so I camp at almost every one of our trails as well. That way I'm there the night before so people could come ask me questions, and I'm there the next day to, one, it's kind of a family event for us now. And I like to relax the day after the tournament. Typically I get sun poisoning because I'm an idiot and don't reapply my sunscreen. But
SPF 30 always.
Dude, 30.
Well, in the desert, you need higher than that.
For this girl, twice a day. But yeah.
Higher the rating, the more you have to apply. Just remember that.
Yeah, I know. I heard that too, actually.
Yeah, 30 is actually the best. But anyway, different show.
I use that like no ad 50. It goes on like paint.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say if I just I don't know. I try to get a tan. It turns into me being a lobster. But peeing on the water, honestly, is for a female is not. You're gonna laugh, but man, that's a challenge for us. I'm also a bigger girl, and I typically get off the water. If you want to hear a funny story, I was up in Idaho on the Snake River, and Snake River, it moves, obviously, it moves pretty fast. And I was doing really well in a tournament, and I got off the water, and I go up behind a tree, and I go and I pull my pants down. My ankle starts stinging. I had stepped on a mother effing snake, and it.
What kind was it?
A little garter snake.
Oh, wow.
was fine. It wasn't poisonous. But I hate snakes. I scream like a girl.
Well, luckily it got your ankles.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it could have been right. Not poisonous at all. But either way, it was a baby too, man. I pissed that thing off, and I peed my pants.
Literally.
In the process.
Oh.
Well, that's reasonable.
And the water was in the 40s, so I couldn't dip in to wash off or anything. Smelled like pee the rest of the tournament, and I finished in 8th. But yeah. So I mean, girls definitely have a harder time. I know there's we've talked about it in our women's. Literally, this is a conversation that we have. How do you pee on the water? Guys, you stand up, you turn one way, you're good to go. Like, girls, I'm sorry, if I'm like squatting even in my Hobie over my pedal drive, you're gonna see a lot of good things.
Erin, why do you have a funnel in your kayak? What's going on?
Right.
Yeah.
I know. I've actually looked through a lot of those things.
I tried one of those for like a couple of times, and I was like, no. So like literally, like if the first thing I'll do is like, depending on the lake that I'm on, like if I'm in a lake that's like in the middle of nowhere that doesn't have any houses on it, I'm like, yes, perfect. I can sneak into a little cove, make sure nobody's behind me or anything like that. Or if somebody is, I'll be like, yo, dude, I got to take a piss. You mind just like turn around? Usually they don't have a problem with it, because I mean, what else am I going to do? Like, hey man, I'm sorry, but I got to go. So like, yeah, and like,
I'm just going to go fish over here.
Yeah. So like, I'll pull up my pedal drive and I'll scoot down and just go right there. It's simple. It's easy. It's quick. And bada bing, bada boom, I'm done.
Now we know how Susie gets anglers off their spots.
There you go. Just a tip for any females out there: take a long poncho. I know that sounds silly, but like that'll help cover your lady bits, and you can feel a little bit more comfortable. And just tell your guys to turn around. Yeah. Mm-hmm. National championship. I'm not going to tell which guy did it. He was in one of the 5 tournaments recently. I told him to turn around. He turned around and started videoing me on GoPro. So. I mean, jokingly, but yeah, he's one of my good friends.
Okay. Woo! I was like, dang. Okay. All right.
You got your good guy buddies who are just jerks about it and trying to be funny, but
Okay.
But yeah, bring a long poncho. That helps out.
So, are you like? I go out there with a big giant Bubba thing of coffee every morning. Do y'all like literally limit what you're drinking whenever you go out there? Yep. I mean. Wow.
Unless it's like, so there are certain times of the year where I can limit and not have to worry about, dehydration or heat stroke. Yeah. But like when summer hits and it's above 85, I am chugging water, and like I'll alternate. So I'll do like 2 bottles of water and then I'll do Gatorade, because electrolytes are pretty important, because it doesn't cause as bad of a headache if I don't keep up with it.
But when it's 85, you just jump and take a quick swim, right?
Right. Like, yeah, you could if you wanted to. Yeah, you really could. But I mean, sometimes
relieve yourself, cool off, get back in.
But tournament time, you don't waste that time.
No,
that's the thing.
That is precious time. You're like, okay, you just got to go. You pull down, boom, bam, bam, go. Yeah, you don't waste time.
Fair enough.
There you go. Informative and educational.
How we pee on the water.
Things I would never think about.
Right. I'm waiting for the companies that are going to make the pants and shorts that zipper at the crotch for us ladies. Because I mean, we got to take the whole thing off. Guys, you just zip down and go. Why haven't they made that for ladies yet? That's my whole complaint.
Sam, you look really confused.
No, the entrepreneur in me is saying, I can do that.
Oh, I love it.
So,
maybe it's like a flap or something that you just like flap open and just sit and go. I mean,
that would be amazing.
Right.
Well, just have the zipper keep going so I can poop on the water, and then everybody wins.
And especially in like cold weather fishing, because when you've got the whole suit on and everything, like if you got to go to the bathroom, you have to get off the water to go. Like there's no going, because like I've tried the whole bibs and everything, and by the time I've done that, I'm like, well, I've just got everything wet now.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, we're gonna work on that, Susie. We're gonna figure out a way to do that. And we're gonna come out with you know, I don't know, she angler pants or something like that. You know.
Hey, keep
Breakaway.
us voluptuous girls in mind, all right?
I like it.
Right. Yeah, and make sizes that fit like bigger gals too. Like, stop doing like all the twigs. Like, come on, you know, I got some junk in the trunk. Like, come on, just make stuff that fits me. That's
Hashtag big girls fish too. You know.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's my next
Oh goodness.
All right. Well, we've kept y'all long enough. Thank you for the information, telling us all about yourselves and your trails and everything else. Erin, do you have any sponsors you'd like to tell us about?
Oh, gosh, Idaho River Sports has been awesome to me the last year. I moved further away from them, but I still want to support them. And Maniac Custom Lures, unfortunately, they're also going out of business. Well, I shouldn't say he's going out of business. He's retiring. But man, they drop shotting, salt sticks, minnows. He's liquidating everything. Seriously, and they are hot. That is like my 99% use. Other than that, kayak fishing Utah is that's my life right there. So,
Erin, before we move on real quick, anything that you want to say to maybe there's a wife listening with her husband who's wanting to get into the sport, or a daughter, or maybe we got some female anglers, you know, who are just getting started. Anything you want to say?
Transitioning. Just saying, no.
Are we still talking about fishing? Anyway, anything you want to say to, you know, those lady anglers out there, or people who are inspiring to be, you know, lady anglers in the sport of kayak bass fishing?
Yeah. You know, it's a male dominant world, but who cares? You guys are welcoming. Look, Susie and I are here. I've had the best experiences on the water with a ton of men. I know it's intimidating. If you're scared, start off with those month-long tournaments, whether it's KPF or the KBBT, or maybe your local club like KFU has a month-long. Start there. That gives you that confidence on how to measure the fish. That's probably your number one tough spot right there. Other than that, get out and meet people. Man, you will find the most loving, caring, and most informative people. You're going to run across your jerks and the people who don't want to give up their spots and all that. You know what? They're 1 in a million. Well, I wouldn't say 1 in a million. 1 in 50. But, you know, there's plenty more people out there who are kind and ready to support you and ready to help you out than there are the opposite. So just try it and contact me. My gosh, my Facebook is completely open. I don't post about COVID. I bought chickens recently, so I talk about my COVID chickens all the time. Other than that, you know what? I know. Other than that, it's all fishing, and I'm just ready to support people. And you know, contact me or Susie or Christine Fisher. She's amazing. Catherine Field, my girl. Man, there's so many women out there who are ready to give you some advice, to support you, and to help you on your journey. We're here. Just don't hesitate. That's it.
And Susie, you were nice enough to come on our show. Just plug your sponsors.
I definitely got to thank Quest Water Sports for having me on the Hobie fishing team this year. Finally back at it again. Ketch Products, I'm on the pro team with them as well. Tourney Tag, one of my newest sponsors, Bassett Baits. He's a very, very small, kind of make his own stuff at home guy out of Rockford. So he custom makes baits and stuff for me. Shingler Customs, Miss Mel Isaacs is the main for that one. She's like magic when it comes to paint and baits. If you want a custom colored whatever, she can do it. Like, it's amazing what she does. Let's see here. Kistler Rods, of course, you know, paddle and fin. And let's see here, who am I missing? So yeah, I think that's about it. So
Awesome. It's always
great.
important to have great people behind you.
that's right.
Well, thank y'all for being on the show. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. That's-
Thanks,
All
guys.
right. That was awesome.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Awesome.
So zipper that goes all the way around.
either a zipper, so like not like around the waist, but like from the front to the back.
Yep.
Like it can be like a
your
flap.
regular zipper down to your butthole.
Yeah,
Yes.
just so you can,
Yes.
you know.
Obviously.
Yes,
Seriously.
just something so that you can just squat and go and not have to worry about taking your pants down or anything. Like
We can pull. Sorry, this is gonna sound weird. We can pull our panties aside and we can do our business.
Right. Yeah.
And be
No,
on
I
our
feel you.
way. And not
Okay.
have to show our goodies to everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe some cargo pockets to put some baits in and
yeah.
Our lipstick, everything the girls do, you know.
yeah. Right.
My eyeliner, you know, can put everything on.
There's a few women out there who probably do that, but yeah. Not
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. We might have to source that.
Sorry to put a light behind me. It's like dark as hell here.
No, that's all right. We can still see it.
Totally fine. So, okay. Well, we got to record the rest of this show and talk about tournament results, but thank you both for taking time out of your week. Once again, Erin, for you, coming on the Paddle and Fin, we appreciate that. And Susie, as always, helping support us. So, anyway, stay healthy and get out there as much as you can. Hopefully you can get your tournament series up and running here soon. So appreciate you.
Take care of those chickens.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Have
Nice
a good
talking
night,
to you.
guys.
Bye.
This segment is brought to you by JigMasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to JigMasters.com and use promo code PNF20 and save 20% off your next jig order today.
All right, everyone. Welcome back. We just finished up with a couple awesome ladies here in the sport of kayak bass fishing, definitely representing our community in the best way. It was fun chatting with them, got some cool stories there and some funny moments and, definitely got to see some of the inner, the thoughts and considerations that go behind, being a female angler and leader in our sport. So pretty cool.
Yep, very cool. Well, there are, even though we have so much going on in our country right now, there are a lot of tournaments that happen. A lot of them have changed the way they're doing it. The first one we're going to go over is Indiana Kayak Anglers. They had their season opener, and they turned that into a 5-county shootout. It had great turnout, 86 anglers. First place was Blake Spurgeon with 94 inches, Aiden Darlington with 84 3/4, and Jeff Verdinsky with 84 1/2.
Yeah, tough tournament, man. There were over 90 lakes, so 5 counties, and there was like 80 or 90 lakes that you could choose from. Incredible amount of opportunity to fish and great fisheries up there. So shout out to the guys that picked the right ponds and put in the work to find the fish. But let me say something real quick. Aiden Darlington, let me just give you an idea how good this angler is. All right, not to take away from Blake. Blake had an incredible day. Shout out to Blake as well. Aiden is like 2 or 3 year in a row Angler of the Year for IKA and comes up with second place in the first event, of course, like already off to a great start this year. It's going to be hard to ever knock this kid off the pedestal of AOI. I'm telling you, it's going to be tough. So,
Well, there you go. Well, second, we had Tennessee Kayak Anglers Tournament Trail in Watts Bar. That had 24 anglers, 3 fish limit. First place was Brent Long with 56. That's a big limit, 56. Second,
3 fish. Wow.
yeah, Joby Berry with 54 1/2. And third, Eric Romneys, I think that's how you say it, 54 1/2 as well. So they tied, but Joby had the big fish. Next, Southern West Virginia Kayak Anglers. That was a 3-lake tournament. Had 47 anglers. First place was Jeffrey Willis with 76. Brad Richardson, and I know it's been tough up in West Virginia. Second, Brad Richardson with 68 3/4, and third was Brian Bostick with 63 1/2. So tough conditions up there for sure. Next, Mountain State Kayak Anglers in West Virginia is statewide online one-day tourney, 77 anglers. I don't have the weights, but first place was Jason Isaacs, second place Zach Atkins, and third Ewing Minor. Next, we have East Texas Kayak Fishing Tournament, and that was on Lake Fork, 62 anglers. First place, and this actually says it as Tourney X, Dave Thunder Midget Newman with 97 1/4.
What was his big bass? 97 1/4. What was the big bass on that?
Yeah, I didn't
have
get
it. Okay. No worries.
I should have.
It was a big.
Second, yeah, for sure. Second, Brian Howe with 95 3/4, and third, John Allen with 91 3/4. Next, we had Oklahoma Kayak Anglers, up statewide, 85 anglers, one-day tournament. Jason Ray with 101. Hopefully I don't butcher his name. Zhao Zhang with 100 1/2. And third was Justin Brewer with 96 3/4. So yeah.
Wow. Where were they fishing?
Oklahoma. It was statewide, but it was a one-day tournament. So.
Oh goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Need to go to Oklahoma.
For sure. And there was a lot of other tournaments going on. Most of them were smaller or month-longs. It seems like a lot of clubs have went to month-longs right now because of the COVID deal. And next, last we had the Kayak Bass Bracket Tour. They went from 64 down to 32, and these people moved on to Sweet 16. Jake Suvak, Conrad Benetti, Doug Wilson, who I'm fishing against, me, Joe Douglas, William Kennan, Marcus Coates, Jeff Isom, Jonathan Pepin, who beat Eric Siddiqui. He had 94 3/4, and Eric had 94 1/2. So, man, it's tough to go out by 1/4 of an inch whenever you got 94 inches.
Wait, hold on. Say that again.
Yeah.
Eric Siddiqui got beat by
Jonathan Pepin, who's up in the UP.
And he had 94.
He had 94 3/4. Eric had 94 1/2.
Ooh, wow. 1/4 of an inch.
Yeah,
wow.
That's rough.
Yeah. I gotta say your name, man.
Well, there's a few more. Hold on. Thomas Gent, Matt Linsman, Patrick Tharp, Derek Brundle, Matt Funtress, Ronaldo Nandon, who I think he had the highest two deals. One of them was over, it's like 108 inches, something ridiculous. Another one was still mid-90s, and then Marty Hughes. So that's the 32 who are moving on to the 16 who are moving on this week,
including Dan Perry, who's whacked them both rounds. Way to go, man! Way to go.
I've done really well, but really I'm the guy with the second highest average of 2 weeks is, I think he had 90. Yeah, he had 97 and 94 3/4, and I've had 93 and 86 1/2. So he's fishing on Fellsmere. You know, he's had the second highest average weight of the first 2 weeks, and you know, like legitimately going to have to catch high 90s to 100 to beat him. So that's tough to do.
You can do it. You can do it. There was another tournament this weekend too. It's Paddle and Fin Live.
That's right.
There was two matchups. JP and Sean, the two newest hosts here at Paddle and Fin, went head to head, and you and I went head to head. And so Jason, and Sean, they were fishing tough conditions, rain and wind and cold front, fronts coming through. Neither of them were able to catch a fish in regulation. Neither of them were able to catch a fish in sudden death, so they're going to rematch. I don't remember what the date is on that.
Tomorrow or Saturday. I'm sorry. So
okay, they're going to do
coming
Saturday.
Out Friday. Saturday they'll be on that, and then there was me and you. I pulled through on that one. You fished hard, fished all day. Congratulate you. Hey man, it was obviously tough conditions. I hate, it didn't work out for you, but it sucks. One of us was going to lose.
Oh yeah, no, and look, I'm rooting for you, man. I want the winner, the champion, to come from our crew here at the Reel Down. But hopefully I'll get in that losers bracket and I'll have a chance to rematch with you at the end. The water I went to unfortunately had a raging muddy creek running through it. I didn't know it could even do that. But I got there like an hour early and saw that, and I tried to figure out where else I could go, but there wasn't anything. So unfortunately, a lot of the water here in Indiana doesn't have enough service to do, live broadcasts from. And I was an hour and a half away from anything I knew. So, but you did awesome. You caught a fish like on the second cast, made it really interesting and fun. So thanks for keeping it that way, because the other three of us didn't catch a single fish. It could have been really, really boring had it not been for the awesome action you had. So congratulations, man. Congratulations to all the winners from this week, and look forward to recapping some more events next week. Tune in to Paddle and Fin Live on Sunday from 8 a.m. to 12. Me and Dan will be hosting that event. Yep. Mostly Dan's face. I'm going to be working some of the back end, but we've got Brian Schiller, the OG of the show, versus Josh Eldridge.
So who do you have?
I'll
tell you what. I think Brian, obviously, he's been doing this longest, but I think all the brackets have went to him. And I think whenever he saw like people are picking, a lot of people picked you, and you still might win in the.
I upset a lot of brackets. Yeah. You upset a lot of brackets.
Bracket buster. So and Dustin, he's down in Texas, which Dustin and Susie are also fishing. That's going to be a great matchup. I think Brian kind of got a little fire lit under him, because he's like, hey, I'm the underdog. What? I got this big giant blue sky 360, and you don't think I can win? So
right. I'm fishing out of a boat. I'm gonna beat these little kayak guys.
Exactly. I got this John boat. What y'all talking about?
Yeah.
So
no, he's gonna be fishing his home water that he knows through and through. He understands what those fish do under any conditions. That's why I'm picking him. The conditions look fairly good this weekend, actually. But I think, Brian's a stick, and he'll figure out the bite. I have no idea where Josh is even going, so it's hard for me to make an educated guess on him. But yeah, I got Brian, and then, man, Dustin, Susie. Whew.
Man, I know y'all haven't seen it out there in Paddle and Fin land, but on our group text, Lord, Dustin has been sacking them. So, Susie, I love her being on the show tonight. I can't bet against Dustin. I mean, he is on some mega fish.
Yeah, he's got some great water out there. I don't know. We'll have to see if he's got signal at the honey holes that he wants to go to or not. I'm not sure, but Susie, she's got some pretty awesome fisheries as well. So if she can get on them, if they're open and she can get on them, I've got faith that she's going to definitely put up a good battle. Dustin's going to, who would have wanted to face Dustin in the first round?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, she pulled Dustin, and she's going to have to really grind it out to get a victory. So, but good luck to everyone fishing. We're looking forward to hosting it. Should be a lot of action, hopefully more than what we've had in the previous episodes with the terrible conditions that we've had weather-wise.
It'll get better with most of us in the north. I think the people in the south, it's going to get worse as the tournament goes on, and for y'all, it's going to get better. So,
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Reel Down on Paddle and Fin. We'll catch you next time.
Wear your PFDs. Thanks for listening.
Later.
Go check out the website, guys. paddle_n_fin.com. Also check out YouTube, youtube.com/paddle_n_fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest, feel free to email us at paddle_n_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're doing giveaways, announcements, things like that at Facebook and Instagram at paddle_n_fin. Shout out to our show supporters: Rocktown Adventures, Loveland Canoe and Kayak, Hammered Lures, Fish Mob Lures, TRC Covers, Ketch Products. Go to ketchproducts.com. You can put the Paddle and Fin logo right on your catch board. Don't forget to go over and pick up your JigMasters Jigs. Use promo code PNF20 and save 20% today. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. It helps grow the audience, helps others find our podcast. So please drop a 5-star rating in on the podcast platform you're listening on. Don't forget about the recycled plastics program, you guys. Take your used plastic baits, put them in an envelope, mail them to the address in the show notes. Our man Eric Richards at Hammered Lures melts those down, makes new baits, and donates them to various chapters of Heroes on the Water.